episode of Freedom. Aloha, everyone in another level living land. So happy that you're here for another episode of Freedom Fridays. We have an amazing message and an amazing guest for you today, talking about how to achieve success post-trauma. And, really the world has gone through so much trauma in many different ways, especially in the last couple of years. So I just feel like this message is right on time. First, let me share with you what this show is all about. It's all about supporting you as an entrepreneur and achieving success in business and life harmony, because it really is two sides of the same coin. We never want to get so busy making a living that we forget to make a life. And it is possible to stress less, strengthen our relationships, lead with much more energy, ease, and momentum, work smarter, not harder, and create our time, money, and emotional freedom. So I want y'all to give a warm welcome to our amazing special guest today, Anu Verma. Anu, say hello. Anu, say hello to everybody.
Hey everyone, lovely to connect with you all.
So let me tell you a little bit about who this amazing lady is, okay? Because she really is awesome. Her company is called Victim to Victor, and she's going to be talking today about achieving success post-trauma and how to achieve success and life fulfillment after suffering from trauma. Anu is the founder of victimtovictor.net. Her website, book, and broadcast aims to empower and inspiring survivors, showing them that healing from sexual and domestic abuse is possible. She has a master's and bachelor's in physiology and health, and she went further to study to become a therapist and a coach specializing in healing trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder. She has a whole amazing background of using a holistic integrative approach with different modalities such as emotional freedom therapy, Reiki, hypnotherapy. She is definitely a woman after my own heart, and I know I was so excited for her being here today because she's going to share some awesomeness with us. So Anna, we're just so happy that you're here with us. Thank you for taking the time to come out.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor to connect with you. And thank you so much for the amazing talk that you did on my show as well, which is yet to be published.
Yay. So, yeah. I'm so looking for that. That's where we connected, right? Like it was just amazing synergy. We both have some beautiful buns in the oven that are on the way. So there was just so much awesomeness.
It is, yeah. It's just so similar, like in terms of our kind of birth dates and just, partners, and just, it's amazing when you kind of feel the connection with someone.
Yeah, totally. So Anu, tell us about this topic, okay? Because I know a lot of ladies want to know, and men, and want to know, how can we achieve success after trauma? Because trauma sometimes creates paralysis. It creates the frozenness, the inability to move forward. So we really would love to hear your wisdom on how to heal that.
Wow, absolutely. Wow. Trauma, it eats us alive. Trauma comes out in so many different ways. I mean, for people who are, really sick, those who have like cancer and diabetes and just neuromuscular dysfunctions in their bodies and everything, it's linked to mental health. It's linked to internal processes, and we don't even realize our health. It just has such an important impact on us, because it's all to do with obviously how we were brought up. It's all to do with parenting. It's all to do with like any traumas that we may have endured as a child, and we are yet to see the links between later on in life what happens to how we were raised as a child. There's a lot of research that's happening at the moment, which you're probably aware of, with Bessel van der Kolk. Like he's actually written a really good book about the body keeps the score, where he mentions a lot of this. Yeah, it's really important.
One question I usually get, I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of time we have this unresolved trauma that we don't even realize is there, right? Yeah. One question that I usually get is, how do you know that there's trauma? You know, because I know for me on this journey, if you would have asked me like 10, 15 years ago when I was in my quote unquote dream job, well, this is now the dream job, but what society, right? Like the meeting, the epitome of your career. Somebody asked me like, Heather, how was your childhood? I'm like, great, you know? But then going back and doing the inner work of like, oh my gosh, this was an issue. This was an issue. This is what caused me to do this. This is what caused me to do that. This is what caused me chaos in this, right? So I didn't even put the dots together. So going on the journey. So how will somebody be able to know like that they may have some trauma that's unresolved from your perspective?
So first things first, it's about, you know, creating that self-awareness. It's about really going within and understanding who you are as a being. You know, well, what is it that, you know, you've been brought on this earth to do? So many people, I mean, I was also a victim of this, is, you know, we're in autopilot. So we just kind of live in the day, you know, doing our 9 to 5 and then just going home and then just, you know, sitting in front of our box TV and then just going to sleep and not even being self-aware, not even realizing our emotions, not connecting to, you know, what's going on internal. So it all starts with self-awareness, tuning in, you know, and this is where meditation and mindfulness is so important. And I know that, you know, the society now is changing where a lot of more people are becoming a lot more self-aware because there's so much out there now on YouTube, on podcasts, which are really trying to, you know, hone in on this importance of self-awareness. So just by understanding yourself, understanding that, you know, you might have some addictions, you know, you might be addicted to smoking, to drinking, to drugs, shopping, you might be addicted to your phone, TV. So addictions is a big part of it as well. You know, a lot of people are depressed and anxious. They're probably, you know, they might have like panic attacks, and just kind of identifying each of these different symptoms and then trying to assess how these may have been triggered, how, you know, how they may have been brought along. Was there a certain part in your life where these, you know, you were triggered and suddenly your life changed and you started to adapt to these kind of negative coping patterns? And then it's about understanding what happened in your childhood. You know, how were you raised? How was your family dynamics? How were your parents? What was their relationship like? And were there any significant events that you remember which could have been detrimental to your health or your mental health? So, and, you know, a lot of this comes down to actively communicating about your life with somebody. This is why therapy and coaching is so important, because it allows you to talk about your life. It allows you to talk about, you know, different circumstances that may have impacted your life. Oh, and a big one that I've also forgotten to talk about is relationships. Like, how are your relationships now with yourself, first of all, and also with your partner and with your friends and your family? What is it? You know, is it healthy dynamics? Or do you find that you're in victim mode? Do you find that there's not enough communication going on? Do you find that people walk all over you? Are you a people pleaser? Are you in a controlling relationship? Are you allowing your partner to control you? So much.
Wow.
There
Wow.
is so much.
So good. So good that you highlighted this. Thank you for sharing. So for those of you who are listening, if any of these things you struggle with, no, first of all, just know you're not alone. Right. Like the reason why I was on this show is because of the trauma that I experienced as a childhood and putting that out there. Right. You know, the reason why she created the show is because of some of the trauma that she experienced. There's so many people that are going through similar things. And what she highlighted is that how we behave, our patterns, our unwanted behaviors, our addictions, our difficulty and trauma in relationships, all of that sometimes stems somewhere from what's going on within us. You know, one thing I was thinking about too is how it can also cause us to blame. Yeah. Right? Like we can point the finger to other people. They did this, they did that, blah, blah. So that's a part of it too. It's almost like if we spot it, we got it. So how can we resolve it?
Wow, yeah, blame. That's, oh my God, that's a huge one, especially for me and probably yourself as well. You know, when you have had a few perpetrators in your life who may have caused you harm, then it's easy to blame them. I mean, I remember just thinking, oh, wow, I just wish I had a machete and I could just, go and murder my ex for what he did to me. I mean, how unhealthy is that? That's when someone is damaged, that they've undergone some kind of trauma or PTSD, because to want to inflict harm on somebody, oh my goodness, how bad is that for your own soul and peace of mind? So yeah, blaming is huge. And like one of my kind of key indicators of healing was, when I stopped blaming others. And I never even blamed myself, but what I did do was, I took accountability for how I was feeling, and I understood myself better and understood that I was only feeling that way because I was so hurt, because I felt deceived and I felt like someone had really taken advantage of me. So it's about just having that compassion with yourself and really loving yourself, because that's something that we forget to do as well. Or, what happens is when we're born, we have all the love for ourselves, but unfortunately, due to external circumstances, childhood trauma, due to, probably the way that we were mistreated as a child, maybe our parents neglected us, or, they weren't giving us enough attention, then what happens is, we start to lose a lot of that love within us, and we start to believe that we need to validate ourselves in order to receive that love from others. And it's a big process, complex trauma. It's just really does change your whole thought process. It's like your whole brain just gets rewired, when you have undergone complex trauma. And so healing is a journey which, I feel like we all need to go on. We all need to identify that a majority of us need to be healed.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was so wise and so true. Like that part about, I would tell my students, like, hurt people. Underneath people who are healed, but there was a lot of deep hurt, because healed people heal people. And if we don't heal what hurt us, we will bleed all over people who don't deserve it. And then it just creates chaos. It creates brokenness, uncertainty. But one of the things that I realized too with all of that is that sometimes what I also told them is, the bigger your calling, sometimes the more trauma you go through. And so it's almost like this beauty on the other side. Like, so we don't have to have a great past to have a great future. We can recreate and restore ourselves each and every day. So share with us, what are some ways that we can really be able to triumph over all of this? What are some steps or some strategies that the audience now can be able to take away a little bit to be able to start on this journey? Especially now, it's a journey, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times people think that they got to be like healed right away, but there's a power in the progress. There's a power in the process. So give yourself grace on this journey. But what are some strategies and wisdom that you can share that you learned in your work that can help us today?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first thing that, I always say to my clients is the fact that, we have to own what happened to us. You got to own it, understand what happened. Stop trying to just brush it under the carpet or deny it, or, try to, try to make excuses for it. If you were sexually abused, if you were just domestically abused, it happened. Okay. So it happened, and now it's time to face it. It's time to own up to it. And this is why I guess therapy is really important. Part of my therapy process is to actually expose this event. And what they do is they, in every session, like we have so many sessions where they just talk about what happened. And just by having that exposure to it, every session, what happens is it reduces the distress levels associated with that event. And that in itself is healing. You don't even realize, you're like, what? Just talking about it. Yes, because what happens is like the more that we hide it, the more that it's hidden, you know, in the back of our head, then the more it's going to impact us in other ways. So we have like avoidance behaviors, which we don't even realize. You know, for example, a rape victim, they might be afraid to go out at night on their own, because a lot of that is linked to their fear of being alone at night because of the fact that they got raped. So exposure is a really big part of, you know, trauma healing. So other kind of tactics which a lot of my clients use is, you know, affirmations, simple affirmations. It's literally just having affirmations on your phone as set as reminders. Like for me, I remember every 3 hours I had these really positive affirmations on my phone, which used to pop up as reminders saying, I am loved, I am enough, I am awesome, I can achieve anything I want to. And do you know what? I must admit, just something as simple as that, it totally transformed my whole self-talk process, because I used to hate myself. I used to think, oh my God, I'm worthless, I'm nothing. You know, I seek validation from others. And, you know, if I don't have this many likes on my pictures, then I'm rubbish. You know, what a horrible way to live. So, you know, validation starts from within. It's about how we feel about ourselves. It's about our self-talk and the words that we wake up saying to ourselves. And so affirmations is huge for me. I also start the day with gratitude, just thanking the Lord.
I just want to make sure I got these. The first one's awareness, expression, because you know my mind can only hold so much, and it was so good. So no, it's perfect. So the first one, expression, talk it out. If we hold it in, then it just pretty much stuffs down. It becomes negative emotions. It tears down our health. It makes us feel even more terrible about ourselves, et cetera, et cetera. So don't go to battle alone. Have some support with expressing it. And then the second one was affirmations. What are the things that we're saying to ourselves? If you need that positive enforcement, because no matter how bad we are, you know, how mean other people can be to us, we can always beat ourselves up even more. And the negative Nellies in our mind, a lot of times people think that they're the only ones that have these negative thoughts. No, you're not. You're not. So how can we combat those with positive affirmations, falling into that self-love? I love that. Okay, cool. Okay, now what else? I just wanted to recap.
Wow, do you know what? I'm really miserable when I wake up in the mornings unless I've actually thanked the Lord for this amazing gift of life. Gratitude has been huge. It's been huge in my awakening, because you know, we've probably all heard of the saying that you can't be fearful and grateful at the same time. Like, you just can't be those two emotions. So gratitude just takes over. You know, having faith, you know, a lot of people have their own kind of like belief systems, you know, in their own gods or, you know, whatever your belief system is, but it's just being thankful, you know, and I feel like that's been a huge part of my own healing. I never even realized the power of gratitude until I started to practice it daily. And I remember just, you know, when I was actually traumatized, that I didn't even believe in God anymore. So to me, that's like the, you know, it's like the Antichrist, isn't it? It's like Wayne Dyer used to say, like, the ego is edging God out. I love that.
Oh,
EGO.
wow. See, I had heard edging goodness out, but edging God out. So it's so true.
It is.
So when there's something that happens traumatic, like, you know, people are like, oh my God, why did you let this happen to me? You must not care. You must not love me. You must not appreciate, like, how can I even trust you now? When we just finished up the Fruit of the Spirit series, and the one that I done on faithfulness was like, oh my gosh, like when the trauma happens, that's when you lean into the gratitude more. That's when you become even more grateful, because things aren't happening to us, they're actually happening for us. And if we can see what it's doing, yes, some things really suck. We acknowledge that they really suck, but what has it done for you? Now she's inspiring so many other people who are survivors in the world as a result, you know? So, and then that creates such a huge healing for so many people. So even in the deepest, the worst situations, the worst trauma, lean into that gratitude Like I remember my pastor's wife, she had said, I would call her because I would do a lot of complaining in the beginning. And she was like,
Yeah.
you better count it all joy that the enemy's messing with you. I said, this does not feel joyful. I am not joyful in this moment. How dare you tell me to be joyful? But then I was like, oh my gosh, she's so right. Wow. Count all joy. Because
I know.
because
Yeah.
gratitude and, like you said, sadness and depression and loneliness can't exist in the same space.
Not at all. Yeah.
You
Not at
know?
all. And it's like, you know, with my clients as well, you know, when we're doing this avoidance work where they're trying to work on like situations that they avoid due to what happened to them, you know, as a child or in their relationship. Basically, when they're kind of sat there in this space of fear, you know, what I try and educate them to do is to just be thankful for something. It's hard to retrain the mind, but what happens then is, you know, as soon as you find something to be thankful of, like, you know, if it's your child, for example, you know, because to have a child in this day and age now, I just feel that we need to be so thankful because they're a gift from God, aren't they? Because, you know, so many people who can't have children, so we have to be grateful for them. So just being thankful for even a child, and instantly that fear, you know, it diminishes. So it's a task that I think everyone should try and see how it impacts them.
You know, when you had talked about, I knew earlier about facing, you know, in the Hawaiian culture, I think they say it's called alo, or alo, to face. When we face everything that is happening and we focus on the rising, we can get to the point where we can feel everything and relax. You know, because a lot of times fear stands for forgetting everything and running, you know. But the reality is when we face it, it no longer has a hold on us.
Exactly. Exactly. It's that's what they say about, you know, feeling the fear, and that book, isn't there? Feel the fear and face it anyway.
Yeah.
I remember reading that years ago. But yeah, and again, it all makes sense. It's so huge.
So good. So you have shared with us so much amazingness on how to be able to have hope, how to be able to get into that empowerment. You know, what is one other thing that you can be able to share with us, like big takeaway, like that you can be able to leave us with today?
Show self-compassion, girls and boys. Just, you know, understand yourself better and give yourself grace. Stop being so hard on yourself, you know, stop looking at yourself in the mirror and not liking what you see. Just try and have that love for yourself. It's so hard. I understand it's so hard for survivors to feel that, but, you know, you have to start somewhere. So seek that support, seek that therapist, that coach, join whatever group you need to get your peers, you know, to help support you as well. But come on, let's create more love in the world. Self-love.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. And self-love and self-care is not selfish, because the more that we pour into that love for ourselves and everything, then the more we can easily give that to other people from an authentic place, creating that unconditional love, not this conditional, jaded love that a lot of times we see, because it's all an extension of us. So Ani, where can they find out more information about you? Do you have any like free gifts or anything you want to share with them, so therefore we can get them connected with you as they hear this?
So I'm all over. So get on to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and, like, you know, subscribe to my podcasts. Is that do you subscribe to podcasts? I don't know what you do, but yeah, just find them, listen to them, be inspired. And also, if you go onto my website, I've got like a 12-week kind of self-development plan. And again, it's all of these kind of skills, which over like a 12-week period, you know, you do all these different tasks, and there's like healing meditations. But again, that's all for free. You know, that's my kind of service that I want to offer to survivors, and just to help get you on that journey, because you have to start somewhere, guys.
I love it. We'll make sure to put the link in the chat below.
Yeah.
And
Oh, absolutely.
also tell us in the comments below, what is your biggest takeaway from this message? Because it was just so powerful. I mean, thank you so much for being with us here on this episode. Oh my gosh. What a blessing. What a blessing. Because, you know, this is actually 4th of July, Independence Day, freedom. What healing gives is freedom.
Yes.
So, because we become this prisoner of the trauma, right? Of the pain, but then we can be free in the healing. And that is where the greatest blessings and expansion and purpose and passion and prosperity come to life. So definitely reach out to Anu. I'll put the link in the chat for her website, and make sure that you go there and get that 12-week support. And we look forward to seeing you again next Friday for another episode of Freedom Fridays. Everyone have an amazing holiday weekend. And remember, this is just, there's glory on the other side. All right. So we'll see you soon. Peace.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Oh, that was